Hello and welcome to this video on monitoring, which is focused on the COE starter kit. COE stands for Center of Excellence, and it's about establishing a group of processes that are monitoring and procedures that are managing what's going on in your Power Platform environment. You can download it from there. These slides will be out of date in terms of what it actually does. We will look at this. Let's have a look at this this link. So I highly recommend that you go along to this link. You've got some really good stuff here to look at. There's another really good resource that I shall, I think I've linked to it later on, so I'll tell you that in a second. So let's minimize that for now, but I highly recommend going across this and having a look around. If you're interested in Center of Excellence, once you've seen this, go and do more research on it. So what is Center of Excellence? It's a series of building blocks. It meets certain personas. So first of all, it's around gathering insights into adoption of Power Platform across the whole organization. So there's a series of tools like flows and BI reports. The flows will go and gather the data, and the Power BI reports report on that data to do certain things. There's a governance aspect to it. So this is the admin and the makers of apps need to establish certain audit and compliance and archive processes. So performing risk assessments, identifying orphaned apps, any complex unused resources, setting up communication templates for if someone creates an app, here's your responsibilities, stuff like that. So certain governance. What about the things that are taking off, like people that are doing good stuff, sharing best practices, onboarding makers that are new, create excitement. So this is aimed at admins, makers, and end users as well. And then you can also create these enterprise branded themes, so that there's a consistency across the board, and they can focus on the real business problems, not around certain look and feels like logos and things like that. So you can do that as well. So Center of Excellence Starter Kit is really these building blocks that allow these four things. What kind of things can you do with the starter kit? So you can look at things like the top connectors that are being used. You can find and add admins as owners for apps that leverage certain connectors. You can do that automatically. So say you have an app owner of a particular application that's an admin of that application, and an app gets created for that application. So say, for example, it is a document management system or a client matter system, a project system that's on premise. You could say that every time an app is created using that connector, the owner of that project management app is added to that app so they can see what's going on. Pretty cool. You can find and disable flows that leverage certain connectors. So another way of enforcing DLP, or DLP in a different way. And indeed, you can identify potential DLP policy updates that are required or changes that you need to make. You can do things like, so that is connectors. There's also looking at applications themselves, understand where these apps are coming from, who's creating them. Identify apps that are broadly shared. This is really interesting because those that are broadly shared, they're probably really useful. So is there something that you can do at an enterprise level for that? Do more users need to use this app? So you can do stuff like that, looking at apps themselves. You can find, and indeed, if you're doing this here, the apps that are broadly shared, at what point does that become a risk? So those apps that are overshared, you can define a limit, and you can be notified when these things happen. So creating these risk profiles, identify the trials, identify template-based applications, which apps have been created or which flows have been created that are never used or not shared, and then find these implicitly shared connectors. So connectors that have been shared through an app that may be unintentional. So you can find those as well. And then you have these processes for administrators where you can set up things like automated processes to take them from a team-based app to an enterprise-based app. So having that visibility to see where these things are. If things are being used all the time, review them, see what practices are being used from the citizen developers, and how can that be improved by a pro dev team. You can set up a welcome email. So anyone that creates an app or a flow or a connector for the first time, send them a welcome email saying, oh, hey, well done on that, and here's a whole list of resources for you to go and learn more stuff. You've got an app catalog that you can create. You can make apps discoverable. So admins can audit and validate apps and then graduate them to the internal app catalog. Really, really exciting for organizations that want to leverage collective wisdom, collective citizen developer wisdom, this kind of good stuff. So it's really important that audit processes are established and automated, and COE Starter Kit comes with this audit workflow. So apps are identified by a flow based on criteria such as app is shared with greater than 20 users or at least one group. So you can configure these things up, and it goes and gathers the data, scrapes all that data that you need for auditing without you needing to do anything. All of this is built out of the box. So in this example here, there's an audit workflow that's built out of the box which says, okay, if there's an app that's created with more than 20 users or one group, and there's no business justification for that app, the Developer Compliance Center will email the maker to provide justification, and then the admin's got visibility on what the app is doing and what it's for. So this governance workflow. So really establish and automate this. Once an app starts getting used across the organization, why is it being used? And get business justification for it. Here's an example of that workflow. Won't go into it in detail. You can pause the video and look at that workflow. It's part of the Center of Excellence package. COE Starter Kit Virgin Atlantic created a Power Apps app that uses Power Apps admin connectors to bring all this data together around the apps that are being used across the organization. And COE Starter Kit has all of this built into it as well. Of course, as with all of this stuff, do your own research. The next slide has a lot of good resources. So get familiar with the COE Starter Kit. Go over there, have a look around that site, download it, and you can implement it into a dev environment. What you could do is sign up for a trial and import it into the default environment of that trial. That would work as well, and you can get to see all the connectors that you need to hook up. This YouTube link here is excellent. It is the PowerCat team. It is the PowerCat team, and this is a playlist, and it is what this COE Starter Kit's about, how to set it up, the core components, governance components, nurture components. Now, obviously, this is over a year old, so you know it is still going to be very relevant. But do make sure that you're aware this is over a year old. But it gives you the basics of going. I set this up in our dev environment following these instructions, and it worked pretty well. So this here, Center of Excellence Starter Kit. So COE Starter Kit, that is the kit of tools to do the stuff. But the Center of Excellence is really the processes and the policies and the procedures that underpin the Center of Excellence Starter Kit. So it's a bit chicken and egg. Like, you need to understand what's in the app to know what you need to build, not what you need to build policy-wise. So it's highly recommend playing with it and getting familiar with Center of Excellence Starter Kit, because it will inform your decisions. And all of these points here should be things that are in a good COE policy. That's it. Thank you for watching, and chat to you in the next video.